Good morning to the Shiplake community and welcome to this morning's Thursday Thought. I'm delighted to say that we are joined this morning by Matt Aldridge, an old Viking who left us in 2016 and who is currently working as a police community support officer in the Henley area. Now, I remember Matt very well because he was a keen musician and he studied A-level music with us. He was also a very good sportsman, a keen rower and a member of Skipwith House. So a very warm welcome to you, Matt. Good morning.
Good morning. How are we all?
Fine, thank you. How are you today?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Yeah, all very good.
Excellent. I suppose the obvious question, would you mind sharing with us what you've been up to since you left Shiplake, please?
Yeah, of course. So obviously I left Shiplake in 2016, which obviously leaving was a very sad time. But what I've been up to is that I decided to make the step to go to university, where I studied criminology for 3 years. It's quite an extensive course, but I feel like that really set me up for what I'm doing for my career now, which is fantastic. So in between my studies, I basically did things like I took up rowing again, where I coached, did other extracurricular activities such as I was part of the DJ Society at one point, which was very interesting. But yeah, I did other things. I was part of the Extreme Sports Society as well. All very good things. So always encourage anybody at uni to do those extracurricular things. So after I left uni, I decided to become a PCSO, where I find myself now in Henley. So yeah, that's kind of where I find myself.
Great stuff. Thank you. We'll come on to all that in a moment, but can I just stick with your Shiplake days for a moment? You'll be pleased to hear that we now offer criminology in our sixth form, and I know that you would have studied that had it been an offer. But if you could describe your time at Shiplake a little bit more, what are your best memories? And you arrived in year 9, is that right, Matthew?
That's correct. Yeah. So I think as soon as I started year 9, I took up things like rowing, instantly interested in music. So I'd say those two things are definitely overall my best memories. Of course, which I'll go into later, making some of my best friends at Shiplake too. So I'd definitely say the extracurricular activities were hands down my favourite things to do.
Brilliant. And as well as the friends you made, what do you miss about Shiplake the most?
I would say the routine. I'm definitely probably very fitting for the job I do now, but I'd say myself having a structure throughout the day was definitely something I miss, and it's something I kind of have now, but when you're at school, you do take a lot of things for granted, and I think I definitely miss seeing the friendly faces every day, and of course seeing my friends every day and having that structure that gets me through.
I can imagine. It's great to see you. So welcome back.
Thank you very much.
If you could describe your current role, Matthew, what does a typical day shift look like for you, please?
So I always work, so I either work my early shifts, which is from 8 o'clock in the morning, so roughly around this time, to either 4 or 5 in the evening. So, or I can even work from 2 p.m. to 11, which I'm doing later on today. But a typical shift, obviously every police officer or PCSO will say no 2 days are the same. I could come in and I get called to something quite serious, or it could be something quite minor. But usually what PCSOs do is deal with minor crime, antisocial behaviour, and just listen to the concerns of the community. So I'm out and about all the time, or I'd like to be, in Henley and in other areas, just sort of engaging with the community and just listening to the concerns they have, really.
Yeah, great, thank you. And what are the challenges you face on a daily basis?
I would say it was really challenging during lockdown. I think we go to say that everybody felt those challenges, definitely. I think from a force sort of challenge, we definitely have dealt with an increase in sort of antisocial behaviour, especially in Henley. So what that is usually groups of, let's say, young people, for example, causing noise, or what I've dealt with quite a lot, neighbourly disputes. So 2 neighbours not getting on with each other, and we sort of try and nip those issues in the bud before it becomes a serious issue.
And how do you deal with those things, Matthew? Just with those two situations, either neighbourly disputes or antisocial gatherings, how would you deal with those?
So a lot of the time it is just engagement. So we go and speak to them first, and then what we do is we speak to them, try and get names and addresses, which we require by law, which is always really helpful. And if ever we deal with something criminal, such as, let's say, criminal damage, somebody's smashing up a car, for example, we can deal with those people quite easily through something called a community resolution, which it's a bit of paperwork admitting that your guilt, or if not, they can later be arrested. So it's their choice.
Thank you very much. And in terms of conflict situations, how do you train for that?
So what we have, so I trained at Solhampstead, not too far from here, near Pangbourne. So we had officer safety training. So we learned certain manoeuvres, such as telling people to get back, certain strikes that we can do, and all things. So that was definitely one of the best parts of training, getting active like that. We've definitely had conflicting situations. So I've dealt with in Henley people with knives. I've had to assist with restraining them. We've had certain people in public houses where we've had to I've had to again restrain them on the floor and things like that. Not nice things, but we try not to get to that situation, but we do get involved.
Yeah, I can imagine that's a last resort. So what skills do you rely on in order to diffuse situations, would you say?
So it's always communication. So especially for PCSOs, we're almost thought of being non-confrontational unless we absolutely have to be. So we try and diffuse things by just talking to people. I like to think of myself as a talker, and I try and get to like the lowest level possible. And usually, I'd say 98% of the time that always works.
Excellent. I'm very pleased to hear that on your behalf.
Yeah.
In very general terms, Matthew, what are the current issues and problems that you're seeing in our area?
I'd definitely say now pubs are opening back up. We're seeing an increase in assaults and antisocial behaviour. During the lockdown itself as well, we were dealing with a lot of fraud. One of the ways we got around that is I think it was last week. I conducted a fraud talk for the elderly in Goring. Basically, it just gave all sort of tips and advice on how to protect yourself from fraud. So if anybody wants that, I'm more than happy to give that presentation at some point.
Great, thank you.
But yeah, those are the sort of three priorities I'd say that we deal with on a day-to-day basis.
Excellent, thanks. And in terms of advice for our pupils about staying safe, what would you say?
I'd say it's a tricky one. I think people see Henley as a place where not a lot of things happen. They definitely do. I would say if you're going to go out late at night, if you are 18 and you can go to the pubs, or if you're just thinking of visiting late at night, just be careful, because we do get a mix of people from different areas coming to Henley just to cause trouble. So what I would say is just, don't engage in any, don't get yourself caught up in any trouble. If you think that things are escalating, just simply walk away and notify us if you have to. And of course, you can always speak to me if you see me out and about the town. Just let me know of any issues that are going on.
That's great. Thanks, Matthew. And in terms of contacting the police or yourself, what's the best way to do that if one of our pupils sees something?
So if you see something that you think, I need the police here as soon as possible, it's always 999 in an emergency all the time. If it's something that has happened and it's not needed for urgent police attendance, then either 101 or you can make a report on the police website. So that's I'd say that's the best way to do. But if ever in doubt, if you see a crime happening, just 999 it.
Excellent. Thanks very much, Matthew. And would you recommend being a PCSO as a career path? And do you have any tips for somebody considering that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I definitely chose to be a PCSO because it's something I'd really like to do. I always see it as getting my foot in the door. But if anybody wants to boost their confidence and just to engage the community and understand how your community works, absolutely, it's the job for you. And if you think you're somebody with people skills and you just want to develop it, absolutely, and I'm more than happy to have a conversation with anybody. If you're a lover of people, it's 100% the job for you.
Excellent, thank you. And what are your plans for the future, Matthew, if you don't mind me asking?
So I've actually considered a career. So I'm looking in a couple of months to apply to become a police officer. So they open soon. So when you want to become a police officer and to look at further fields, you have to join as a regular first. But I think I'd like to join and look at a career into CID, which stands for Criminal Investigative Department. That's it. So I definitely like to do that, and I think if the opportunity comes my way, I think it would be silly for me not to say I'd like to be a dog handler one day. I think that's everybody's dream when they join the police. But if that comes my way, definitely.
Excellent. And when you become a police officer, what will be the biggest difference between that role and that of a PCSO? What difference will you see?
So I think with PCSOs are known for being the eyes and ears and being out a lot, engaging with the community. So a police officer will respond to more serious incidents of crime, such as burglary and assaults, things like that. So they're a bit more thorough with having an investigation and things like that. So yeah, and they can obviously, if they're trying to go to immediates, they can go on blues and things like that. So they definitely have a bit more responsibility when it comes to dealing with crime. So I'd say that's the biggest difference altogether.
Excellent, thank you. As I shared with you before we came on, I considered a career in the police myself, and one of my university jobs was processing speeding tickets at Cardiff Central Police Station. So I got a real flavour for it, and I explored the graduate program as well. I eventually became a teacher. Might that be something that you would consider, Matthew?
Yeah, definitely. I think my mind is always open to any opportunity that comes my way. It's funny. I actually did kind of consider being a teacher at some point, and I think that yeah, like I said, any opportunity that comes my way, more happy to sort of have an open mind and sort of just see how can I see myself in that role. So definitely.
Absolutely, thank you. And last question from me, Matthew. What advice would you give your Year 9 self, looking back when you first arrived at Shiplake all those years ago?
I would say to myself that I think especially when I got to the end of year 13, I was putting myself under a lot of pressure to go to university. So I think if I'd talked to my year 9 self, I'd say there are definitely more options. And I'd also say that you got nothing to worry about, because I'm a bit of a worry worm. Got nothing to worry about, and you're going to have a great time.
Excellent. Thank you so much. So on behalf of the Shiplake community, can I thank you for joining us this morning, Matt, and sharing your experience with us. Matt has kindly offered to answer any questions about a career in the police. So if you do have any questions, please pass them on to me and I'll share them with Matt, and I know he will respond. But thank you again, Matthew. It was great to welcome Old Vikings back, particularly with a wealth of experience as yourself. And thank you. Have a great day, everybody. Thanks.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you.